This is The Weekly on ClickOrlando.com with Justin Warmoth.
Good morning, I'm Justin Warmoth. We are still several months out, but the Democratic candidates looking to unseat Governor DeSantis this November are starting to make their pitch to Floridians. One of those Democratic hopefuls is my guest this morning, former governor and current Congressman Charlie Crist.
But I'm curious, I think the folks at home are curious, why decide to run this year?
Because I love Florida, and Governor DeSantis has broken my heart and many Floridians, I think, in the way that he's governing our state. Seems to be just, on this hot path to red meat Republican, super conservative stuff. And I think he's lost sight of Florida and more focused on the White House, to be candid.
I want to talk about your campaign priorities and your pitch to Floridians as you make your way around the state. What will that pitch be? What are your main talking points and what's your main focus?
Well, I want to be inclusive to all Floridians, and what has happened of late with the governor and the Florida legislature, the Don't Say Gay bill, for example, on LGBTQ, women's right to choose. They've thrown that out the window. With their 15-week legislation, African Americans' right to vote and encouraging voters instead of suppressing the vote. The list goes on. And I'm a hopeful guy. I want to have Florida focused again on education, on good public health decisions, on making sure that we protect Florida's beautiful environment, our tourist industry, pretty important to Orlando, and not fighting with Disney. Speaking of Orlando, I have never heard of a governor ever get into a fight with Disney World, and Ron's taken us to a new level, and I think Florida deserves better.
Woke Disney is something that he's been using. When you first heard him say woke Disney's woke Disney, and the pushback to Bob Chapek, what was going through your brain?
Nothing good. I call it Walt Disney. And, it's an institution, not only in Florida, but in our country. Mm-hmm. And the notion that the governor tries to associate Disney with communist China is beyond the pale. And I just don't think most Floridians think that's appropriate, smart, or kind. Mm-hmm. It is none of the above. And I think we deserve to have a governor who understands how important Disney World is to our state, how important it is to our entire tourism industry in Florida, and how it has changed Florida in so many positive ways. To be fighting with the CEO of Florida, our governor, is just something I don't think anybody saw coming.
You mentioned some of the measures that passed during the 2022 legislative session. I want to talk about some stuff that didn't get passed that you thought should have. What comes to mind?
How about voting rights? Instead of passing a bill that makes it harder, Justin, to utilize mail-in voting, if you will, we ought to be encouraging voters, not discouraging them. And what does it say about a political party that wants less people to vote? That they can't can't win if they don't do that? That's very disappointing. And I think we ought to have a bill that doesn't take $200 million away from school districts that thought it was maybe not a bad idea to have kids wear masks in school. It just seems very punitive the way this governor is leading. And I think that's not what Florida wants. I think we want a more positive kind of leadership. We're the sunshine state. And I know Floridians are much more friendly and embracing and very diverse. And we're one of the most diverse states in the country. We should be acknowledging that we're all children of God here.
I know that what the critics will say as you ramp up your campaign in the Democratic primary. And ultimately, if you get past that, when you go head to head against Governor DeSantis, what they're going to say. You've been a Republican before. You were the governor before. Now you're a Democrat. Why should we trust you? What would your response be to the critics out there who would say something like that?
Because I'll always tell you the truth. It wasn't easy to leave the Republican Party. But when your values aren't matching up with what you think the values are of this new Republican Party that we've experienced since the Tea Party in 2010, and it's only metastasized since, I'm going to be honest about that and not just go along to get along, but I'm going to speak up and speak out and say, this thing has changed. I am much more comfortable being a Florida Democrat, and I think that people respect that, and they know it's not easy to do it. But I'm proud to have done it, and I know there's still good Republicans. I don't want to paint too broad a brush here, but for the most part, that's how it was for me. My mom and dad raised me and my three sisters here in St. Petersburg to be kind to people, decent to others, to have some compassion and empathy. And we're just not seeing a whole lot of that out of Tallahassee right now, and it breaks my heart.
Governor DeSantis, as you know, has popularity. I think it's a lot of polarization as well. It's you either love Governor DeSantis or you do not. As you see his popularity rise and you hear the rumblings of a possible 2024 or ultimate presidential run, you know, the ability for you to compete head to head with someone who is that polarizing, that popular in the state?
I think he's more polarizing than popular, and I think you picked the two P's correctly. I think that what we're seeing is that this guy, as I mentioned earlier, he's anti-gay, he's anti-African American, he's anti-woman, he's anti-environment. I mean, we had a horrible red tide in Tampa Bay last summer. I participated in a demonstration pleading for the governor to declare a state of emergency just to help us clean it up. He wouldn't do it. So, you know, I don't think he's all that popular. And I think he's ripe for the picking. And I think Floridians deserve a choice, and they deserve better than this.
As you look ahead to the next couple of months, I know you have a stop in Florida this week, or in Orlando rather this week.
Yes, sir. Right.
What does the next 2-3 months look like as you prepare for the primary?
Well, just continue to work hard every day, Justin, to be honest with you. Take our message to the people of Florida that we want to have good schools, a clean environment, and decency. As corny as that might sound, we don't have that in our governor right now. You know, when he yells at kids who are wearing a mask at a press conference he goes to and gives them a hard time, we've hit a new low. So decency is a big part of this. Helping education is a big part of this. Making sure that middle-class Floridians can afford to live in Florida again. It's like impossible. If you're a millionaire or a billionaire in Florida, you're doing great. But if you're not, try to buy a home. Try to rent an apartment, for crying out loud, or try to pay your property insurance bill. Everything's going through the roof. The governor doesn't have anybody's back except the rich. And, Floridians, most of them aren't rich. And a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. We have a lot of seniors in this state that are on a fixed income, and they need help. And they deserve to have somebody who's got their back. Ron doesn't, I will.
Now, statewide elections in Florida are always razor thin, but that really wasn't the case in 2020. Donald Trump defeating President Biden by more than 3 points, largely due to the number of votes Trump picked up in Miami-Dade County, which is typically a Democratic stronghold. Coming up, Crist will explain why he still considers Florida a purple state. Stay with us.
This is The Weekly on ClickOrlando.com with Justin Warmoth.
Welcome back. Congressman Charlie Crist has emerged as the frontrunner in the Democratic primary to be Florida's next governor, but he faces huge obstacles in his attempt to unseat Governor DeSantis, whose popularity continues to rise among Republican voters. Crist, who once served as a Republican governor, is starting to ramp up his campaign with the slogan, Florida for All. We pick up the conversation on the topic of affordable housing.
The legislature, I think they did something, a few things when it comes to addressing the lack of affordable housing in the state. What plan do you have to address something that is seemingly getting worse, not better?
Well, I wouldn't do what they did do. And what they did do is they raided a trust fund that is exclusively set up in Florida to offer funds to Floridians who need help. It's called the Sadowski Fund, and it's millions of dollars. They raided it. It doesn't exist right now. So what I would do is make sure that we honor that trust fund. We dedicate those monies and those funds to affordable housing, to helping people. I would also encourage local government to do the same. He wants to take over local government and not have, school boards or county commissions or even city councils make decisions anymore. He wants all the power vested in Tallahassee. That's not right. But to my point, local government can also help with affordable housing. And they're starting to do it across the state because Tallahassee has ignored it. And then I would partner with our federal friends. The new secretary at Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, is a friend, from Cleveland. She was a member of the House of Representatives. There are ways we can work with our federal friends, local friends, and the state to make sure we're focused on affordable housing for Florida.
As you look back to the 2020 election, and specifically Florida, and you saw, Miami-Dade comes to mind, and how that has changed over the last 10 years and really over the last 4 years, what that looks like. Donald Trump dominated in Miami-Dade County against President Joe Biden. As you look at the makeup of Florida, which was once considered a purple state, it's seemingly tilting a little bit more red. Do you see that as well? And do you think you can flip that?
Yeah, I think we're very purple. We're about a third registered Republican, about a third no party affiliate, and about a third Democratic. So that's purple almost by definition. So if we look at the last three gubernatorial races in Florida, they were basically won or lost by a point, 1 point. The 3 times ago was 1.2%. In 2014, it was less than 1%. And in 2018, Governor DeSantis election, it was 0.4 of 1%. So it's trending in the right direction if you're a Democrat or a moderate, which I am. So I'm encouraged by that. So what happened in the presidential? Great question. Very important. Miami-Dade specific. So in the Biden campaign, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And so probably smartly didn't have a whole lot of going door to door and infecting people. Republicans did it regardless, and they benefited from it. There's no doubt. And so Trump wins Florida by 3%. Not a huge victory, but pretty big by Florida standards. But I think the more relevant comparison, apples to apples, are the past 3 gubernatorial races in Florida, the midterms. And there you are comparing apples to apples. It keeps getting closer and closer and closer for Democrats. And I think this year we're going to take it over.
Yeah, not reaching 50% seems to be the norm in the gubernatorial race. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Winner is the winner. And so right. As you do make that pitch to Democrats across the state initially, and I know you want everyone to hear you, but initially you do have to get past the Democratic primary. We have a close primary state. So Democrats will be voting for you initially. Appealing to young voters is such an important thing that you need to do. Nikki Fried seems to have the social media down, and I know you have a social media page and you're good on there as well, but she seems to really be focused on that. Is that something that you think will ultimately help or hurt you as you do appeal to those younger voters?
We're focused on every way to communicate. Communicating with you is very important. Social media is very important. Radio is important. Cable it's all important. It's Florida, right? We're the 3rd largest state in the country. We got so many media markets. It's not even funny. So every single way that you can possibly communicate with people, you need to do. And our campaign is doing exactly that. We're appealing to young people, old people, college students, Gen X, Gen Z, boomers, you name it. It's across the board because we're one of the most diverse states in the country. And we're just going to keep pounding on it as we get closer and closer to the primary and, God willing, beyond to November the 8th.
Yeah, I want to go back to the 2020 election really fast because when we, as you know, as a Floridian, you know how important the I-4 corridor is. And winning the I-4 corridor normally means that you go on and you win the state of Florida. That did not happen, again, because of Miami-Dade County and what that looked like. But Joe Biden won Seminole County, won, I believe, Pinellas County.
He did.
Those are so key for winning that I-4 corridor. Is that something that you will be focused on, or is that something that, as we saw in 2020, didn't mean as much?
Yeah, I am going to be focused on it because, by and large, generally speaking, in statewide races in Florida, the southern part of the state will go to the Democrats, northern part of the state to Republicans, and then there's I-4. And I think it's incredibly important still. And I am from Pinellas County, the anchor of I-4, if you will. Now, at the other end of the ticket for U.S. Senate, we're going to have Val Demings, who's from Orlando, Orange County. So I think that's a wonderful benefit to our ticket coming into November the 8th. Mm-hmm. And the fact that both of us are from I-4, I think will help our turnout. I think she's going to hugely help minority turnout in the election. So I'm very excited about it. I really am. And I-4 needs to be and always will be a focus for me.
I want to ask you this because You have some Floridians watching this morning who say, I like Florida the way it is. I don't want it to change. I may not like the governor, but I'm good with how things are being run currently. And I don't want taxes going up, whatever the talking points would be.
Yeah.
What would your message be to the Floridians who like Florida the way it is, open? It's been that way throughout the pandemic, essentially, and they don't want to go the other direction. What would your pitch be to them?
Well, you mentioned about the pandemic. I mean, we do have 72,000 Floridians that are gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's not leading well.
Mm-hmm.
Over 5 million Floridians have gotten sick with the virus. That's not leading well. We've got a guy who's a surgeon general that doesn't know what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's embarrassing. If you're happy with that, then you ought to vote for the current governor. If, on the other hand, you think you deserve better, that somebody ought to be governor who actually does believe in science and will follow it. I mean, my dad is a family doctor. My sister's a physician. I actually believe in science. I actually know climate change is happening. I actually know that even though we're the third largest state in the country, we pay our teachers, we're number 48 out of 50, that's wrong. I mean, there's so much that we can do better. And I don't think it's going to be that hard, because we're at a low point right now. The bar really is low with his leadership. And I know Floridians deserve better. I know they're more hopeful. I don't think they like the divisiveness that he's all about and the hate against gay, against women and their right to choose. It goes on and on, Justin.
Mm-hmm.
I think Floridians are ready for a happier day and a better future.
First order of business, if you're elected, what will happen whenever you are inaugurated? If that happens, what's the first order of business?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, Medicaid expansion is something that's critical in our state. Because we don't accept Medicaid expansion, 800,000 to 1 million of our fellow Floridians are not getting health care. That's wrong. We've got to change these voting laws if they don't get thrown out by the judicial system, which I think they will, to make it, again, easier to vote by mail, have drop boxes in minority communities throughout the state of Florida, pay teachers more. I mean, there's a lot to do. Having been governor before, I don't have to have on-the-job training, and we'll get about the business of righting the ship very, very quickly.
And again, we're still some 5 months away from the primary election, but you'll no doubt start seeing more and more political ads here in the near future. My thanks to Congressman Crist for the time this week. As always, you can find this interview and others by going to clickorlando.com/weekly. I'm Justin Mormith. Hope you have a great Sunday.